Hi guys, I am Syrachime and I welcome you to my new Let's Play of Super Godzilla. This was the very first Godzilla game I've ever played, and to this date is my favorite Godzilla game of all time. If you happen to have a Super Nintendo lying around along with a copy of this game, feel free to hook it up, grab your controller and play along with me. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy the show. Let's get this started. Before I actually get started with this Let's Play, I'd like to fill you guys in on a couple of things. To start off with, I'd like to address the backstory that doesn't seem to be present in this game. It's sometime in the 1990s, and out of nowhere, monsters begin wreaking havoc on Japan. At first, we don't know why the monsters are attacking, but it soon becomes apparent that the monsters are being controlled by aliens who are using them as their weapon to try and conquer the Earth. Amidst the chaos, a small group of people rise up and attempt to combat the aliens by taking control of Godzilla with the intention of using him to combat the various monsters and ultimately the aliens. Now, how they got control of Godzilla isn't fully explained. Apparently, Godzilla ate some kind of chocolate chip mind-controlled cookie, and just like that, he's under their control. Well, anyway, you as the player are actually Godzilla's controller. The world's fate is in your hands, and you have to control Godzilla and have him battle the various enemies that you come up against. Along with you, there are 4 other protagonists that will be addressing you throughout your adventure. The cast of protagonists includes a mustache guy known simply as the Commander. He's the leader of the anti-monster defense forces and is your superior who gives you orders on how to control Godzilla and such. You also meet this professor who looks a lot like that professor from Animaniacs. His name is Professor Ogata, and like many nerds in games, his main purpose is to fill you in on necessary information throughout your adventure. We will also be seeing this Japanese soldier named Taniguchi, who I am convinced has no other purpose in this game aside from being the main narrator who points out repetitive information. And finally, we will also see the young assistant to Professor Ogata known as Miss Yano, who also points out useless information like Taniguchi does. Along with these protagonists, we will see one antagonist who is known as the Alien Commander, and he is simply called Alien. But because that makes about as much sense as calling the human cast human, I'm going to call this guy Larry. Anyway, Larry is the Alien Commander who controls the various monsters. Like Professor Ogata, he's incredibly smart and is more or less the brains of the operations. So anything that happens to us, we can blame completely on that guy. So with that out of the way, that basically gets us to where the game picks up. The Earth's defense forces have successfully gained control of Godzilla, and they are leading him to Osaka to encounter the first monster that appears, and that's pretty much where the game starts out. So, with the backstory out there, I'd like to talk to you guys briefly about what I have planned for this particular Let's Play. Now, I wouldn't ordinarily do this, as I like to keep what I have planned for Let's Plays to myself, but because of this game, like many Super Nintendo games, is relatively short, I'm making an exception in this case. To start out with, I'm going to say up front that this game is going to be consisting of 6 episodes entirely. For those of you that have played the game before, you might see why I'm doing it this way, as well as how I intend to actually format the series. But if you haven't played the game, the main reason I'm doing this as a mini-series with 6 episodes is because there are only 5 to 6 stages in this game. I plan to do 1 stage an episode and releasing it as such. Now, I won't include any other spoilers outside of that, but just know that there are going to be 6 episodes in this mini-series. The second thing I'd like to inform you guys about is that I plan to actually do something a little bit different with this Let's Play that, if successful, I may carry over into future projects. Because these characters I mentioned are otherwise bland and without life, I'm going to try and give them a little life by doing a little bit of voice acting. I'm going to attempt to give each of these characters their own unique voice and bring them to life like that. Now, the main reason I'm doing this is twofold. First, I think this would be a much more entertaining way to present the information than me just sitting here reading text whenever it pops up. Secondly, as I said, this is an experiment to try and bring to life an otherwise dead and boring cast of characters. But while I'm doing this, my success at this won't necessarily be determined by me as much as it will be by you. I'm doing this for you guys as a way to make my LPs a little more entertaining as well as informative. So I'm ultimately going to let you guys be the judge of how I go about doing this. If you like the voice acting I'm doing and find it a creative addition to my Let's Plays, let me know in the comments. But likewise, if you don't like it and you find it kind of annoying and don't want me to do it, also just tell me in the comments. Whatever you guys like or don't like, feel free to let me know. I'm making this for you guys, and I want this to be as entertaining and informative as possible, so if you could let me know what you think about all this in the comments, I will definitely respond accordingly to my future Let's Plays. So, with that out of the way, that basically concludes everything that I'd like to talk about. Let's get started with my Let's Play of Super Godzilla. Godzilla, stand by, okay? We are bringing him onto land at Osaka.
The rest is all up to you. Use your best technique to control Godzilla.
Various enemies are lurking in the city. Move carefully.
If you move Godzilla crashing through buildings, it injures him.
That's why we have prepared points for energy resupply and other points in the city.
Collect these items and head for the monster. Good luck!
This is the layout of the battle zone.
There you can see the layout of the battle zone, which for this particular stage happens to be the city of Osaka. The thing you'll notice here is that we have two different columns. The first column represents all the areas in A, while the second column represents all the areas in B. And as you can see, we have two areas lit up per column, which means we have 1-2A in addition to 1-2B. Shouldn't be too hard to navigate around, so let's start navigating. Alright, here we are in Osaka Bay, and the first thing you'll notice as the game starts up is we have a two-screen type of format here. The way this works, the top screen is your view of Godzilla, while the bottom screen is your view of the map, or at least a particular area in which you find yourself in anyway. For this case, it happens to be Area 1A. Now, if you couldn't tell already, the blue dot moving about the screen is actually Godzilla. Wherever that blue dot goes, that's where Godzilla is and is ultimately going on the map. Now, you as the player have semi-control over Godzilla. I say semi-control because you're more influential than anything. Godzilla is like the Energizer Bunny. He just goes. You can influence the direction that he goes in by tapping the direction that you want him to go, and he will go in that direction. So the main goal of the game is to go around, collect items that you could use for battle, then ultimately make your way towards the foe, engage them in a fight, and try to defeat them. Now to get these items for battle, you're going to want to head towards these yellow tiles. I'll head towards one right now. When you get here, you will either you will acquire orbs or spheres that you can equip in battle. I will probably be using those terms interchangeably, so don't get confused if I happen to do that. So we go here to our first yellow tile, and we pick up a blue orb. Now, in addition to this blue orb right here, there are 3 other orbs of varying colors that you can acquire, and each one of these orbs has a different aspect to it that will affect you in battle. Going over those, the blue orb right here will grant you 150 points of energy should you happen to take damage. There is an orange orb which will restore your energy entirely all the way up to max. There is a green orb that you can get which will grant you invincibility during battle, along with a few other things that I'll cover later. And finally, there is a red orb that you can pick up, but I will have to actually wait till we get into battle to describe that, because it won't make much sense until we actually get into battle, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. You can hold up to a maximum of 4 orbs, and once you reach the max, you will not be able to carry any more. Now, in addition to these orbs here, you can also pick up things in these yellow tiles that will help you outside of battle. But these aren't anything really big. They're more like things like warp points to warp you around the map, information tiles, and a few other things like that. We'll cover those more as we actually run into them. So for now, we picked up our first orb out of 4 that we can acquire. And tank, die, tank, die. I guess that brings me something I could talk about. Occasionally as you're moving around, there will be some things that pop up, like those annoying tanks and stuff like that. Tanks, mines, and whatever. They're more of a nuisance than anything else, and to take care of them, all you have to do is just step on them. That is literally the end of their reign. Now, as you're going around, you can destroy buildings if you want to, and that's kind of fun. But I would actually advise against doing this, because for every building you destroy, you will lose 4 points of your energy. So it may not seem like much right now, but this will build up over time. And there are also other penalties that are associated with it, so I would recommend that you not destroy buildings unless you absolutely have to. Usually the best time to destroy buildings is when the buildings are in your way and you have to destroy them to access other paths, or, you know, when the game is being stupid and you have to destroy them in a fit of rage, you know, for the important stuff like that. So, while you can destroy those buildings, there's something kind of weird here. You cannot actually destroy the buildings that look like jailhouses. I am not sure why this is, but if you go here, Taniguchi claims the control waves don't reach any further. If you advance Godzilla any further, he'll go out of control. We'll change his direction. So just like that, you can destroy every other building that will probably affect the economy, but you cannot touch the prisons. I'm not so sure what's sacred about prisons, but oh well. Who cares about the economy when your prisoners and jails are taken care of? So we're going to keep moving along here. I'm going to head up to this yellow tile up here. Now I know for a fact that this yellow tile right here is a warp tile. And if you go to it, you can see an example of a resource you can use outside of battle. Here we will warp from this area of 1A up to 2A. And apparently when we get here, we get a pop-up message from Taniguchi. Wow, he warped. That must have been the warp item. Obviously. Well, anyway, we're going to go down here and collect this tile right here. Here we pick up a red orb. That is incredibly helpful. My favorite orb in the game, and I'll explain why later. So we're going to keep moving along here. Now, you might notice in addition to the yellow tiles that there are also these light blue tiles that you can go to. And what those are the energy resupply points that the commander had talked about earlier. If you happen to take damage from these annoying tanks like I have, or from destroying buildings and other stuff like that, you can go up to those things and you can restore your health. Or restore at least a small amount. You can recover about 150 to 300 of your health. I'm not sure exactly the total numbers, but you will restore a little bit of health. Now, I would advise you to use these things conservatively, because there are only so many of these energy resupply points per stage, and once you use them, that is it. They delete themselves, they do not respawn, so I would recommend that you use these things sparingly, and only use them if you absolutely have to. Usually when you've taken a lot of damage during the stage, or just before you go into battle against a foe, those are the times that I would use them, and then I would otherwise just leave them alone. So if we go to one right now, since we've taken a lot of damage, you will see that these things are nothing more than nuclear silos that Godzilla is going to destroy and feed off of the radiation. Well, that's kind of cool, but that's kind of bad for the environment, isn't it? Oh, well, who cares, I guess. As long as we get our health back, I guess we could destroy these things and risk nuclear contamination for that. Just wait, I just realized something. It's okay for Godzilla to destroy the nuclear silos and potentially contaminate the environment, but you don't want us to destroy the jails and releasing the prisoners? Talk about having your priorities mixed up. Well, anyway, if we go to this yellow tile right here, apparently here is our first example of an information tile.
King Ghidorah shoots gravity lights from his 3 heads. Watch out!
There's a tidbit of information about King Ghidorah, but we'll cover that a little bit more later. So for now, I'm going to go over here from Area 1A over to 1B. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought the monster might be here, but apparently he's not. Now I'm moving around the Sutenkaku Tower. I do not speak Japanese, I do not know how to say that, but I am totally going with that. Sutenkaku Tower! Ha 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 ha! Not sure what's so funny about that, but there you go. Well, anyway, we're going to move up here from Area 1B up to 2B. Now we'll go over here and recover a little bit. I guess while I'm talking about this, you might notice that before we actually left here that we did have a counter that was sitting at 155, and that was slowly going down. As soon as we heal, I'll show that again. Now, the 155 mark slowly going down, that is actually a time counter. You are on a time limit, and you have so much time to actually find the enemy, engage them in a fight, and ultimately defeat them. Now, I would recommend that you do this as quickly as possible, not necessarily because you'll run out the clock. You should have plenty of time to actually find the foe, engage them in a fight, and defeat them. But I would recommend you do this for reasons I will explain after the fight is actually over. Now, you will know that the enemy is in the area because just like you, they are a dot on the screen. But unlike you, they are not a blue dot, they happen to be a pink dot. Can you find the pink dot on the screen? I can, sticks out like a sore thumb. Well, anyway, what you want to do after you've actually collected the max amount of items, which is what we have, we got now moving around Osaka Castle. Thank you again, Taniguchi. Moving on. Now, once you've actually collected the max amount of items that you can have, you don't have to collect the max, but I like to, just to be prepared for it. Stupid tanks, die, you worthless tanks, die. Well, anyways, I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by a barrage of tanks. Once you've collected the items that you want and you get your health, apparently here's another example. I'm never going to just keep jumping from topic left and right. Well, anyway, here's an energy capsule. You can sometimes find those in the yellow tiles. As I was saying, once you find the max amount of items that you can carry or whatever you want to go around, try to find the pink dot that is on the stage, and then to engage the foe in a fight, all you have to do is just literally walk into them, and you will be taken to a new screen where you will see your enemy. But before we do that, apparently we're going to contaminate Osaka some more with nuclear radiation, and totally waste this nuclear silo. I really wish I didn't have to do this, but I did not want to take damage making my way over there, so gotta do what you gotta do, right? Alright, so we're gonna move around here.
The enemy is around here. Be careful.
Thank you, Miss Shano, or at least my horrible attempt at being Miss Shano. Alright, so once you actually get the blue dot on top of the pink dot, you should be taken to the enemy, or at least where the enemy is, but wait. That's strange. King Ghidorah should be at this point. Ah! And just like that, nobody ever thought to look up for a flying beast.
Okay, listen. Godzilla and the enemy monsters both have ferocious fighting spirit. The stronger it is, the more the enemy attacks, and the more destructive the techniques Godzilla can attack with. Each of the enemies has its own rhythm, and the instinctive bar rises and falls with a certain pattern. Aim for the low point in the enemy's fighting spirit, then move Godzilla in.
Slip in close while holding down the enemy's fighting spirit as much as possible, then punch. This opens up Godzilla's attack window, then pull him back quickly. The further back you go, the more Godzilla's energy builds up, and the more powerful technique he can mount. Alright, so if you have no idea what they were just talking about there, the way this works is you have a fighting spirit just like your enemy. Yours will always be the top blue bar, while the enemy's will always be the bottom bar of varying colors. King Ghidorah's happens to be gold in this case, but that color will vary depending on what enemy you face. Now how this works is you want to move Godzilla forward to build up your fighting spirit as much as possible, and once you're actually close enough to the enemy to attack them, you want to click the A or B button to punch them, and this will allow you to access Godzilla's attack window. When you're able to access that window, you want to pull Godzilla back to access one of 4 different types of attacks. You've seen 2 already. Godzilla has access to a tail attack, which is his weakest, a body strike here, or headbutt, which is a moderately powerful attack, his classic fire breath attack, which you've seen, in addition to an attack called the hyper fire breath attack. Now, King Ghidorah's fighting spirit rises a little bit differently than what Godzilla's does. It kind of raises randomly on its own, and when it actually reaches the top, King Ghidorah will attack you with 1 of 3 different attacks. Those include 1 light ray attack, 2 light ray attack, and 3 light ray attacks. So, oh wait, what do we got here? If you don't watch out, the enemy will shoot his light rays too. Way to point out stuff that I have already pointed out. Well, anyway, yes, he will shoot his light rays, as I have said. So, the main mechanic of the game, like I said, is just to move forward, build up your fighting spirit, and then just slowly wear the opponent down to 0 health. Now, if at some point during the fight, I can talk about this now, if at some point during the fight you actually want to access the items that you picked up during the stage, you can click the X or Y button, and this will allow you to gain access to these items. And to actually activate any of these, you have to click the L or R button. So X or Y to access, L or R to activate, and you can kind of navigate around accordingly. Now, the red orb here. I said I'd talk about this when we actually got into battle, and I feel now would be an excellent time to do that. The red orb here, if you equip this, you kind of saw how Godzilla's fighting spirit slowly rose over time as you went forward. If you equip this red orb here, you can actually double the amount of energy that Godzilla builds up as he goes forward. So kind of think of it like Goku's Kaioken attack, or at least that's how I like to think of it. It's an excellent way to, if you equip this, it's an excellent way to boost your fighting spirit up to high levels and access the very powerful attacks. Now, in addition to this red orb here, you will notice that there is this escape button. Now, if at some point during the fight you feel like you are not ready for this fight, or something has gone catastrophically wrong and you need to leave to get items, get health, and a few other things like that, you can go here to this item and you can leave the fight penalty-free. Then you'll just return to the map, you can move Godzilla around, get health, get items, and then just simply come back to the enemy and you can battle them as if nothing happened. Just literally pick up where you left off and continue from there. So I've went ahead and explained all this stuff now. I'll go ahead and show you the green orb right here. Now, I said that if you equip this, you will become invincible to all damage. You will not take any damage from the foe, and they will not be able to attack you with a special attack. All that King Ghidorah can do is actually ram you. And this is a good way to get your fighting spirit up. Will not be able to attack you with a special attack. Once you get your fighting spirit all the way up, you can see Godzilla's Hyper Fire Breath attack right here, which is the most powerful attack Godzilla has. And this is, if you could get these, this will cause the foe to shudder in fear. Not all of them, but most of them. You can see how much damage the Hyper Fire Breath attack does compared to all the other ones. And like I said, this is an excellent way to get your fighting spirit up. You just keep attacking and doing everything else like that. So now that pretty much explains everything that we've got going on here. I've explained the items, I've explained how the battle works. So we're just going to sit here and just keep destroying King Ghidorah. We're just completely dominating him in this fight. Kind of surprised we're doing that. King Ghidorah usually puts up more of a fuss than what he's actually doing. And there his energy will spike and he will attack me with 2 of his heads. Apparently the other one was being lazy, or just not in the mood to attack me. Oh well, who cares about that? I will take this like the beast that I am. So once I actually get King Ghidorah down, I'll show you a really good strategy that you can use. Right here, tail attack. Well, one thing I could comment on real quick. Taniguchi claimed that the further back you actually took Godzilla, the more powerful his moves would be. But I actually don't know if I believe that or not. It occurs at random. You really don't know what attack you're going to get unless your fighting spirit is up there. So, yeah, I wouldn't believe everything Taniguchi says. Now, I said earlier that there's a really good strategy that I wanted to do, and I was going to kind of wait till now to do it. Now, as it turns out, you can actually equip 2 orbs at once. So if you want to equip the green orb in addition to the red orb, this is an excellent strategy to guarantee that you finish the battle off with a bang. And I love to do this. So equip this here, in addition to this here, and for the fun of it, let's go ahead and just restore our health up to max. I am basically Goku's Kaioken attack on steroids. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop me from raising my fighting spirit. All he can do is ram me, and you know what? I will take that. Oh, apparently we're running out of time. Gotta kill this thing quickly, but don't worry. We will do that on a bang with the Hyper Fire Breath attack. I love ending every battle on this, and I'm going to try to do that in this Let's Play. No guarantees, but I'm still going to try. So, once we've got King Ghidorah's counter down to 0, just like in the movies, off comes the Ghidorah head. I should feel sorry for King Ghidorah, but it brings joy to my heart to see it die. So once the foe is dead, you will be taken to this cutscene where Godzilla will tauntingly blow fire in your face, either that or try to destroy what's left of the foe. And once that's over, you will receive a score depending on what you did in the stage. You will receive your energy times 10, plus the amount of time left over times 10, minus the things you destroyed times 10, plus the bonuses, which I'm not sure how that's calculated. I received a score of 7,050. Now you will get a score depending on how you do on each stage, and these will be tallied up over time to give you credits that will allow you to come back to life should you happen to die, like that. And this is why I recommended that you get through the stage quickly for a good time score, at least to get as good of a time score as possible. So here we see the aliens abducting their own creation instead of cows. How original! What's that? What's that UFO? Way to answer your own question, Taniguchi.
They're bringing King Ghidorah along. Could that mean that...
And here come the aliens. Of course, they don't speak English, but we will fix that.
No. Stupid English translator. You controlled Godzilla to fight against King Ghidorah. You Earthlings are tougher than we thought. You were the ones who used King Ghidorah to destroy the city. Our battle to conquer Earth has just begun. Our first targets are Japan and Godzilla. Send one monster after another at him. Watch this.
And there goes the guy I call Larry because he looks like Larry from the Three Stooges.
Are they aliens? How many monsters can they be controlling?
We can't let our guard down. We never know when or where the enemy will appear. I'll study the remaining King Ghidorah head. Maybe I can find something of some use.